so I can have like an interaction because it was like so difficult. All right. Okay. Latin American revolutions. As we continue, we're finished with France. We're finished with Europe. We're going to cross oceans and, oh my gosh, look at other places who did the same things. Holy cow. A couple of observations about the SAQs real quick. One, now some of you are writing too much. And two, if it says examples, 2 is fine. I appreciate the effort you're putting into them. It can only help you in the rest of your life and in May. But, and then I posted comments, but they're better. They're almost all better. The Enlightenment values, the American and French revolutions, all these things inspire revolts across Latin America. Most colonies in Latin America are fully independent or independent by 1830. So that's different than Europe, but you can think, I mean, already thinking about what is similar and dissimilar, or what is, between the two continents and revolution. Why would it seem these continents are these countries, these states are independent earlier than European ones? Anybody?
Well, the Europeans don't have as much control over them because there's an active across the ocean.
Okay, distance. You've got to cross an ocean to deal with it. Very good. And the expense and all these other things. Well done, Sam. Okay. Oh, some dude lost his head. Where? Right there. All right. I gotta say though, that would be really gross. Just holding up a head, like just nah. Just,
One day didn't really wash your hair and be greasy.
okay, that's the least of the reasons why it's gross, Ben. But okay, it would be. It would be greasy hair, but holding the hair because it's greasy is the least of the grossness.
Think more about
Of where?
I don't think the brains are gonna fall out of the neck.
Like the spinal fluid.
All right. Hey, T. All right, the Haitian Revolution, the French colony of Saint Domingue on the Caribbean island of Hispaniola, is the first successful Latin American revolt, and I believe the only successful slave revolt in the history of the world. That not named Spartacus. No, I'm kidding. All right. So there it is, Haiti, which is really interesting because the French are like fans of their possessions. So the fact that this worked is pretty impressive.
Yeah, but then they demanded like $170 million and like dues from the nations.
In remittance, yeah, in payment for loss, for wages, cost. All right. And this is just, again, from the thousands of slaves were imported from Africa to work on tobacco, cacao, and cotton and indigo farms. By the mid-18th century, Saint Domingue had become the most lucrative colony in the Caribbean. Over 40% of all European sugar and 75% of all European coffee, as well as much of France's glory and wealth, comes from here. So you can understand why, as Ben Hood just said, sorry. Nothing, me, not you. France wanted compensation after the revolution because look at what they lost. Not to mention the fact that now all those enlightened thinkers and salon partakers and people are like, where's my coffee? It makes my brain work better because I don't know what caffeine is yet. But it's a pretty important island. So you also would think that France would have fought a little harder to keep it. But we don't really know how hard they fought. I wasn't there. That's my standard line that for you people. I don't know what there. French plantation owners used turmoil of the French Revolution and Enlightenment ideas to gain home rule and economic freedom. And home rule is just that. They used all the mess going on back home to say, look, we just need to have authority to rule here on our own. We don't need to listen to the crown or whatever that is in France. Home rule is independent rule. Ireland tries to get this from England, and England always says no. So they use home rule and they use economic. So basically, the restrictions of having to adhere to the crown and to the laws of France are gone, and they're now running as a semi-autonomous agency. They're making decisions for themselves because they feel they should. So that's where we are. Gosh, and you kind of see where this is going to go. Wealthy French landowners granted no rights to gens de couleur, free people of color, or the sizable slave population. It's just like the estate system all over again. Or not all over again, but again. I was excited. I thought that was the end of the video. Married. Okay. In 1791, Bookman, a voodoo priest, nice, led a rebellion of slaves and Maroons. Maroons are escaped slaves against the white elite of San Domingue. Is it Book? Bookmon. Okay. Bookmon, a voodoo priest. Nice. And voodoo is a combination of what?
Christian and tribal religion.
Yeah. Catholicism and tribal religion. Very good. And what's that term of the blending of cultures into something else?
Syncretism.
Dude, stop bogarting all the answers.
I win.
All right. Yes, syncretism. All right. There's lots of walls and ceilings on display today. What is going on? All right. John, Gia, Jingleheimer, Schmidt, Connor. Like all I see is like walls and ceilings. Okay. Oh, I know who this is. Yes, sir. Toussaint Louverture, former slave who led a revolt after Boukman died. Held island. Well, basically, he killed slave owners, destroyed plantations, so he holds the island. Toussaint Louverture. Great name. Toussaint Louverture. What? You're sad Boukman died? Most slave uprisers don't, see out their lives as a general rule. I was born a slave, but nature gave me the soul of a free man. Although I'm sure it sounded better in his accent and dialect. In 1801, Toussaint created a constitution that granted equality and citizenship to all residents of the colony. Everybody is equal legally. Everybody's a citizen legally. Yay, constitutions!
Exactly when.
That's an excellent question. I gotta think if it was going to evolve, if women were going to have an equal say, it had a better shot here than almost anywhere else. Because there are female slaves. And if you're there championing equality, I would think equality for all means for all. It's supposed to.
It's just on our Constitution.
It does.
And when they're really did not mean that whatsoever.
Were you in the room where it happened? Then how do you know what was said?
I know.
That's right, Campbell. It's now in your head. I want to be. All right. These are some of the articles from their Constitution. Note, remember, American Revolution, French Revolution, Haitian Revolution. Just thinking of Clueless.
Why is Article 6 that would be?
It goes 5, 12, 13, 63, 66. I don't know. I was shrinking the fonts. I could have messed up the edit. There cannot exist slaves on this territory. Servitude is therein forever abolished. Which also means that indentured servitude and the like, or debt servitude and the like, is verboten. Est aus verboten. All men, regardless of color, are eligible for a job. There shall exist no distinction other than those based on virtue and talent by law. Well, that's kind of Chinese. Not that he probably knew that, but I'm just saying. Anyway. Again, no one can be arrested unless they're told why they're being arrested. Property is sacred and inviolable. Nice word. Residence of any person shall constitute an inviolable abode. During nighttime, no one shall have the right to enter therein unless in case of fire, flooding, or upon request. So that's nice from an emergency standpoint. Petition the government. The Catholic Roman faith shall be the only, and that's in a lot of places. Think in England, can't be a Catholic king. That comes out of their thing. Here, only Catholicism. So religion, looking for a continuity thing, is still driving policy decisions. Are there more? I don't know. And again, describe the historical circumstances that led to this Constitution's framework to include the denial of religious freedom evident in Article 6. That's why it's at the end. Contextualization. You're actually going to do a periodization activity next Wednesday. But all right, so that's that. That's part of their Constitution. In 1802, Napoleon, because remember, he's ruling France, attempted to restore order in the highly profitable colony. See, France realizes what they lost. Toussaint captured and died. But slaves defeated the French forces. No, I'm just saying, it just says died.
Yeah.
I'm sure something happened to cause him to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Anyway. In 1804, Haiti declared its independence from France, though instability, economic weakness, and corruption remain to this day. Again, I'll say it again, I could be wrong. It's just a Mr. Story theory that when your country gains its independence from a group of people who aren't educated and don't quite understand economic principles or political principles and how the world works, when education is not part of your culture because it was denied you, you're starting at a distinct disadvantage in a world that's already way ahead of you. And just as you people know, when you fall behind in schoolwork, it's almost impossible to catch up and keep up. It either has to be one or the other. In Haiti's case, had this uprising even had been in 1704, they're probably better off because the number of literate and because all the systems that are in place now, all the economic systems, all the political systems that are in place in the beginning of the 19th century aren't in the beginning of the 18th century. The timing and context matter. Not only that, but their country was formed through a violent insurrection. So that kind of becomes part of their thing. All right, crash course in the Haitian Revolution. Moving on. Where are we going next? Independence movement spread from Haiti to the rest of Latin America. Creoles, which are who? Not Sam.
I don't know.
They're like
White people born in America.
Yes, foreign people born in America. So the children of the Peninsulares are Creoles. And even though they're the children of, they're socially less than their family, their parents. Yay! They outnumbered the Peninsulares and they sought Enlightenment reform, which you would suspect or expect because they're probably educated and businessmen and women, and no men, and want things to be different. Revolution led to independence, but only benefited white, Creole elite, and the Catholic Church, not other members of the casta system, which would be your mestizo and your mestizo and your mulatto and others below that. Yeah.
what revolution is this? Is
Any.
this a Creole revolution?
No, it's just in all the other countries, in all those other South American countries, These are the classes that benefit. The ones that we're going to discuss, these are the ones who benefit from these revolutions, not the entire population.
So these are just other.
We're going to get into specifics. This is just letting you know that at the end of the day, these are the winners. These are the winners of the revolution. Just like France, just like America without the Catholic Church. Because it wouldn't be the Catholic Church in America. It would definitely be Protestant Church. All right. Oh, anybody guess? Anybody guess? Who's this dude?
No idea.
No idea is a good answer.
Is that Simon Bolivar?
I'm going to go with Simon Bolivar. By the way, it was also the name of a submarine. Simon Bolivar, a Venezuelan Creole, joined the junta, which is a military organization. A junta is a military organization, or like it ends up usually becoming a military sort of group overthrow kind of thing. Seized the city of Caracas and broke from Spain. The Navy named it for a while. One of their classes of submarines named them after people. Like there was the Tecumseh, there was the Kamehameha, there was the Simon Bolivar. There it is. That is, wait. And there's Jamaica. I don't know why. I guess just so you know where Jamaica is. Spanish forces retook the city of, and he went into exile in Jamaica for a year. So Spain takes it back. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm going to go pull Napoleon. And I'm going to go to Jamaica, not Elba. Because that'd be a long trip. Nice map. Bolivar's letter from Jamaica outlines his desire for a republican government and the unification of all of Latin America into like one uber super state.
Of South America.
No,
Latin America.
America. I don't know. We'll find out. In South America, they don't call them. They call the entire thing the Americas. In school, it's not South America, North America. It's just, or Central America. It's just the Americas.
Tar.
But geographically speaking, we are Americans. This is America.
So they think North America and South America are the same continent.
They just call it the Americas. Look, with the exception of the canal, it is the same continent. If we don't cut a hole in the middle of Panama, it's one big landmass.
Well, so is Asia, Europe, and Africa.
Right. I heard a hand. What's up?
How do people then know if which America they're talking about? Or would they then like specify it, whatever, if they're talking about something certain?
They would specify the country.
Okay.
But there are like
But as a geographic,
11 countries in South America.
but as a geographic entity, it is just the Americas.
But how
Okay.
do you specify?
Where in the Americas are you from? That's how you specify.
And you would say like North America?
No,
Or
you
would
say
you
United
think of it as
States.
the
You say no,
United
you say the
States?
United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
You overthink a lot.
Doesn't make much sense.
Okay. Geographically, look, okay. Little hug, little AP hug here. The only geographical bodies on the globe are the actual land masses, right? You agree with that? Okay. Countries are not naturally occurring. They've been forced. All borders are drawn. Maps are political. The land is geographical. From a geographical perspective, if you're a Brazilian, you don't say you live in South America. You say I live in Brazil and I live in the Americas. It's all just one big mass to them. Only in the European, only in north of the equator countries do I believe, do they separate the Americas.
In
It's-
Australia, they say it's the Americans.
I said north of the equator. Is Australia north of the equator?
No.
Okay, I don't know. I'm not Australian. All right.
So So in South America, would they consider it to be 6 continents, or would they still consider them separate continents?
I don't know. Ask South America. The next
I'll pull
question.
out my handy South America.
Use it on your phone, Bill.
My dear sir, and this is just him talking about how they want to be one united Latin America.
That worked out.
He tried. Anyway, you can read all that later. It's cool stuff and more. Oh wait, yeah, I just saw him. He references Montesquieu. Look at that. See, he's an enlightened figure and more. Okay, Simon. His letter, inspired by Enlightenment thinkers and argued independence movements that would safeguard natural rights. So he's arguing for one Latin country, region, with rights protected for everyone, irrespective of who you are, because no one there truly sees themselves, I don't think, at that time as a Venezuelan, as a Colombian, as a Peruvian. I just think they see themselves as part of the Spanish Empire. But there are those cultures there. His plan is to make the Gran Colombia. He had liberated Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, and Ecuador from Spanish rule and had formed the Republic of Gran Colombia. That's pretty cool. This man was a beast. No wonder he got a submarine name for him.
Whose submarine is it?
The USS Simon Bolivar. Ours. Submarine names are theme-based. Each class of submarine is based on a different theme.
So it's not like a set thing?
No, like the older, like 637 class submarines were named after sea animals. The first missile boats were named after people, famous relievers.
So submarines, each class has its own distinction, unlike in destroyers and battleships.
Well, there's an Aegis class destroyer. There's a Hunley class destroyer.
Yeah, but they all like name them one thing, like after one thing.
Right. Yeah. No, submarines are all thematic. Yeah. Los Angeles class submarines are all named after cities. I served on the Santa Fe. Actually, the Santa Fe was being built when I was sent to it, which is kind of cool and scary because there's holes all in the hull. That's where this is going to go. We just welded it. Oh, okay. In 1824, Peru, the Republic of Bolivia, joined Gran Colombia, but regional uprisings, again, because for anything of this scope to work, for any unifying, multi-ethnic, multi-state thing to become one, multinational thing to become one state, you have to truly embrace and understand the Enlightenment and truly understand what it means to work as a collective. And to work as a collective, and you know this from group projects, or from anything else, any kind of team sport, you have to be willing to forego some of your own ego for the benefit of the entire group. And here you have regional uprisings because there are people of importance in various parts of this world, in this world, who aren't quite prepared to give up their place, or they think they should do it. I can do this. We don't need Bolivar. I can do this. So you have to, for the fact that America has been America for 230 whatever years is pretty remarkable when you consider how distinct every state actually is, because they are.
But we did have like a civil war. Always dating back then.
Well, yes, but even then, it wasn't the entire 50 states. It didn't all exist yet. 1830, Bolivar resigned as president, and the Gran Colombia broke apart. So as you can see, it was more of the man holding it together than the ideas, which in most cases tends to be the most how that works. And then another long quote from Bolivar. Colombians, today I cease to govern you. I've served you for 20 years as soldier and leader during Islam, blah, 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 blah. Fellow countrymen, hear my final pleas. I end my political career. In the name of Colombia, I ask you, beg you to remain united, lest you become the assassins of the country and your own executioners. No guilt there. I guess he didn't know about Coke. What that would do to Colombia. In eight-
Like a drink or?
no, like the drug. In 1812, a junta led by José de San Martin led a rebellion against Spanish control in Argentina. In 1812, there's a military uprising against Spanish in Argentina. Martin helped gain independence for Argentina and Chile, but like Bolivar, failed to prevent political fragmentation. Size gets in the way, and the larger things become, the more difficult they are to hold together. I'm looking at you, Roman Empire.
Would
Yeah.
this be size along with the amount of people? Because Russia's pretty big.
But Russia's just Russia.
Yeah.
So,
It's like no one else.
I know. Who wants it other than China who's been moving into it for the last 20 years?
Yeah, but it's like you don't have to spend much time over here, like controlling.
It's literally just frozen hunger.
And resources. They should, because there's tons of money there. All right.
Yeah.
The Guayaquil Conference, I'm butchering the Spanish. He arrived in 1822, where he was enthusiastically greeted by Bolivar. However, the two men could not come to an agreement, despite their common goals and mutual respect, even when San Martin offered to serve under Bolivar. They had different ideas about how to organize the country, about how to set up the governments, and again, it takes a lot. Bolivar was in favor of forming a series of republics in the newly nations, whereas Martin preferred to put monarchies in place. So, again, who rules? Because the style of government matters with respect to everything underneath it, to economic growth, social growth. It's 1822, and he still wants the money, and Martin still wants monarchs. He's not paying attention. He's not getting his news because that's not working well in Europe. But they're in the Americas, and they were under Spanish control, and I'm pretty sure that in 1822, Spain is still a monarchy. So it makes sense because that's with what he was familiar. All right. And again, this is all stuff that if you were in regular world history class, you would not know. It's kind of cool. Although they are going to change the curriculum and make it more reflective of the people who are in this building now. All right.
They're actually going to change it, or they're thinking.
Well, it was passed. Now,
What?
Argentine slaves are paying homage to Rosas. Creole leaders like Juan Manuel de Rosas centralized rule in Argentina, but population. So he organizes the government. He gets it all together at the expense of the indigenous people. And you got to remember, Creole leaders are the sons of native-borns, or the Peninsulares, those born on the Iberian Peninsula over there. And here's the thing. No, I guess they have to keep marrying Creoles to be Creoles. Because as soon as you marry outside, as soon as you don't marry a woman or a woman if you're a man, a man if you're a woman, as soon as you don't marry someone up from a Creole family, you're out too. So think about how closed, oh my gosh, it's just dawning on me. Think about how closed loop this group of people is. And how limited your choices are, because if you marry someone else who's not from a family, then your voice is gone, no matter what family to which you were born. There's a lot riding on keeping the status quo. Father Miguel de Hidalgo led a rebellion against the Spanish in Mexico, the largest and richest Spanish colony in the Americas.
What's in?
Well, it went all the way up to Utah.
What's there? Is it like
Minerals,
just mines?
okay. Silver.
Oh, okay.
Plus, they had California, Texas. They haven't found oil yet, so not oil.
So it's just like silver.
It's land, it's people, it's taxes, it's what I don't, wish I could have you all do a project. Anyway, there he is. Father Hidalgo was executed because the Creoles feared his appeal to the lessers, the Amerindians. He's a man of the cloth. He's a man of God, talking about freedom and equality. You know, I'm not equating him to Jesus. But the same kind of fear. You get the lower people fired up. There's more of them than us. And that's a threat. The Creoles see it as a threat to their power. But children, a new dispensation comes to us today. Will you receive it? Will you free yourselves? Will you recover the land stolen 300 years ago from your forefathers by the hated Spaniards? You must act at once. Identify how Father Hidalgo's hopes for Latin America represent a change over time regarding the church. Ah, that's excellent. Benjamin, what's up?
Did you say he did force the natives to be Christian, or he didn't, and that's why they liked them?
I didn't say anything about forcing them to be Christian. He's offering them hope. Look at what he's saying in this speech. He's saying, are you willing to take back what these people, the Gachapines, which is slang for the Peninsulari, have taken from you in the last 300 years? This is your land. This is your home. He's not talking about my Christian brothers and sisters. He's talking about the natives. And he's speaking to them as people. Now, I would be willing to bet that because of his faith, he genuinely sees them as worthy of this. But I don't know his background, and it seems interesting that he would not be a Creole at worst or a Peninsulari at best. But the fact that he's speaking for all people, that's the big thing. The fact that here's a member of the church, the Catholic Church, think post-Reformation. Here's a member of the Catholic Church actively going out and speaking and desiring those truly of the flock to have a better life. And that's, 300 years in the making, but okay, good. And that call for a better life for everybody down here, thank you. It's scary to the Creole because the Creole want to stay in power. So they execute it. And then they hope that by killing the shepherd, the sheep run away into the woods and don't coalesce and see him as a martyr and then go on. In 1815, Father Jose Maria Morelos urged seizure of Creole mines and ranches. He's executed for continuing a popular rebellion. It takes a lot of courage to lead a protest, no matter how minor, because the group that you're protesting against really doesn't want change. I have an extra credit paper in my head right now. I do. I have an extra credit paper in my head right now for after the exam.
Like a paper?
Yes.
Yes.
Like 5 to 10 pages. It's an option. May slavery be banished forever together with the distinction between castes, all remaining equal. So Americans, period, may only be distinguished by vice or virtue. Again, judge not a man by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This has been echoed and parroted throughout the Enlightenment period, various random people before the Enlightenment period, all the way back to 6 AD. Not 0, because the calendar was wrong. Anyway, that's technically still.
What happened when Jesus was born? I thought when he died.
Creole military leader Augustin de Iturbide, I think it's Iturbide, united with rebellious peasants to declare Mexican independence from Spain. 1821. Augustin, sorry, I'm doing a French accent and it's a Spanish name. Augustin de Iturbide, I guess. If someone can speak Spanish and help me out here, I'd appreciate it. United with rebellious peasants to declare Mexican independence from Spain, 1821. What? No quote? Nice chops, like the lamb chops. All right. Iturbide declared himself emperor, rejecting Enlightenment ideas. It's all great, but then when you realize, wait, I can get a crown? I can be the man? But Creoles later overthrew him and established a republic. Good on them. Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Costa Rica broke from Mexico. They saw their opportunity, kind of like Yugoslavia, and yet not. Oh wait, I'll give you a chance to write those down. Again, that's El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and broke from Mexico. All right. So again, Ben Hood, to go back to your thing, from here up into the California, all of that was Mexico. So they had resources and land. And they still haven't found gold yet in California. In the Constitution of 1857, Benito Juarez tried to limit the influence of church and military in Mexico to protect natives' freedom. Again, trying to limit different power players, trying to limit the church in government decisions, trying to stop the juntas, those military gatherings and uprisings from taking place, which to this day influence policy in the Central and South American countries of the world, other American countries in the world. He abolished slavery. Slavery was banned in Mexico in 1829, 36 years before we did it. Free tuition, no limit in favor of religion. Freedom of vocation, because in a lot of places during this time period, you can only work certain groups of people, certain members of La Casta only were allowed certain jobs. That's gone. Freedom of speech, right to bear arms. No more titles of nobility. Prohibition of punishment by mutilation, beatings, branding, flogging, beating with sticks, torture of any kind, excessive fines, or the confiscation of goods. So it was tough living in Mexico back then. The sovereignty of the nation comes from the people, the division of powers, and the inviolability of the Constitution. Again, Enlightenment, France, across the ocean, America revolts, it goes back across the ocean, France revolts. That news goes all through Europe. Spain finds out about it. People in Spain go back to the Americans find out about it. And all over the place in this part of the world, independence is being gained. Not so much in Europe, and we're going to talk about that Monday. But why Europe is so slow for Greece and Hungary and Ireland and Scotland and all these other places to gain independence.
Who are they gaining?
The people who control them. Austria-Hungary, Prussia, Russia, Germany doesn't exist yet. Despite Juarez's efforts, Creoles confiscated church lands, and 95% of Mexican peasants remained landless. Laws are great. Constitutions are great. But you're going to have to get some of these people to believe it too. Nothing's going to change in any country if the people at the top making decisions don't get support and help from the people just below them who have influence to make things happen. Because the poor can't change policy. In 1807, Napoleon's forces invaded Portugal and the royal family fled to Brazil. So in 1807, back in Europe, Napoleon invades Portugal. The Portuguese royal family goes to Brazil because, Portugal. Besides that. King Dom, it's Portuguese. I think it's João. I don't know. Pedro the First. Okay, so anyway, King Dom João VI returned to Portugal and left his son Pedro the First behind to rule Brazil as his regent. Basically, he's the substitute ruler. He's a stand-in ruler, the stunt double. While his father's back in Portugal. In 1822, revolutionaries proclaimed Pedro the Emperor of Brazil, and it remained the only monarchy in Latin America. And notice it's Portuguese, not Spanish, and it's because, well, 1822, it's 7 years after Napoleon. Spain's in shambles, France is a hot mess, and England doesn't want South America. So. And we're good. All right. So those are your revolutions in South America. On Monday, we will discuss the different ideals and ideologies in Europe in the 19th century and how those impacted their life post French Revolution, post Napoleon, how the fear of Napoleon and the fear of France and the fear of the Enlightenment period caused Europe to pump the brakes and send out a call, send out the bat signal for the good old days. And you're going to see Europe go hard right to the conservative pre-Enlightenment days on Monday and Tuesday. All right. So that's all for today. I'm going to look at the calendar and get all those due dates cleared up. And I will see you. I'll still be here if you have any questions. I'll see you Monday. And I look forward to cohort A. Wow, Gia, thanks for dipping already. Okay, and first to leave, first to go. Wiley, thanks. And I'll see you all on Monday. Be good. Go outside. I know it's crummy.
Thank you. Have a good weekend, Mrs. Story.
Story, guess what?